Hey, what is up, everybody? Zero Fats here, coming at you on behalf of adventuresontheriver.com. Guys, I wanted to read an email. I got an email the other day. I get a lot of emails from people asking me questions and stuff like that, and I try to respond to them all. So this one comes from Big DC Mac 300. All right. And he writes, it's about ebooks. He says, "Hey Cam, I was wondering, is it possible to make enough money just from publishing ebooks to make it a full-time job out of it? I heard of people publishing up to upwards of 100 books or more. Is that the key to making money? Enough money is volume? Do you think the ebooks will always be around as a good source to make money? Also, I was wondering, you talk about outsourcing book writing. I was thinking if people can make a living from ebooks. Why do you think all those writers don't just publish their own ebooks instead of just writing for other people? I feel like that they would make more money writing their own ebooks. What do you think? Also, the appeal for ebooks for me is nothing more needs to be done. It's pretty much autopilot. Is there any other ways you consider as easy as the ebooks to make money?" So anyways, Big DC Mac 300 was asking a few questions there. Let's just take them one question at a time. Okay, let's talk about it. All right. Wants to know if he can make enough money just from publishing ebooks to be able to make it a full-time job. Okay, absolutely. Okay, absolutely, man. There's a lot of people doing that right now. Matter of fact, I just interviewed Big Dave Koziel. He's making a full-time income doing the ebooks, and he's not the only one. There's thousands and thousands of Kindle authors out there making a full-time living, just publishing ebooks on Kindle. Okay, so yeah, that's very, very possible. Yes, you can do that. All right, and that's not some kind of like secret win the lottery, 1 in a million deal. Publishing books on Amazon to make a full-time living, that's not like getting drafted by the NFL. Okay, it's not. All right, you can do it. There's a science to it. All you have to do is commit to the art of it and start doing it. Okay, you can do it. It'll take you a few months. It'll take you a few months to start getting traction. You know what I mean? But you can do it. You absolutely can succeed doing it. So all you guys need to get that out of your head about it being some kind of like, hey, I just won the lottery, I'm working for myself thing. That's nonsense. All right. If you want to work for yourself, you can work for yourself. All you need to do is commit to it, study what you need to do, and just stay on that one thing. All right, and you can make it happen. All right. I've heard of people publishing upwards to 100 or more ebooks. Is that the key to make enough money? Is volume? So Big DC Max asking me if the key to making a full-time living with the ebooks is volume. Okay. First, you need to understand there's a few different ways you can make money with the ebooks. Okay. So a few different ways. You can make money just by selling the ebooks on Amazon. And generally like an average price is about $2.99 for an ebook. But that varies depending on what genre you're publishing in, depending on how big your book is, depending on how much popularity there is surrounding your name and your book. So it all kind of depends, but an average price is about $2.99. So if you're just selling ebooks on Amazon for that straight profit, obviously, the more you can scale it, the more money you're going to make. So obviously, volume is definitely a factor. Okay, it's definitely a factor. But that's not the only model people use on Amazon. People also use a back-end model where basically they don't charge very much for the ebooks they sell on Amazon, but all their books kind of lead to this back-end website where they sell higher ticketed items, right? And in that case, they don't really have to do volume quite as much. They don't need 1,000 ebooks sitting on there on Amazon, right? So it all really kind of depends on your model. I did this recipe book method a while back. I did a video on it, and that was like a serious volume model. The idea was that you're going to make like an ebook in about an hour. It's not going to take very long. It's going to produce a small amount of information that helps people, but it's not going to be tons and tons of information. Okay? Now, that's going to be a trickle-in sales method, right? You're probably going to sell between 1 to 5 copies of that ebook a month. That's not very much, okay? So that's totally a volume method. But the reason that works is because it doesn't take very long to churn those books out, right? So that's a totally different model than like, outsourcing really good books, okay? That's a totally different model than writing really good books. And that's a totally different model than writing really good books that all are sold for pretty cheap, and really their goal is to push people at a website, right? So different models and different ways to make a full-time living using Amazon, right? But all of them have one thing in common. They're all leveraging the traffic, the organic traffic that Amazon has. They're all utilizing the fact that Amazon's really popular and a lot of people hang out there, right? And look, in all those models, volume is never going to hurt you, right? But in some of those models, volume is key. It's just key. Like with the recipe book thing, volume is key. I mean, you have to have the volume or it doesn't work. You're just going to waste your time. And some of the other models, volume's not as important, okay? Let's say you wrote a really good book on Amazon. Like, let's say you wrote this, biography about your life and about how you made $3 million or whatever. And that's the only book you wrote, right? Now, volume is not important in that case. Marketing's important, right? You're trying to sell this one thing and you're trying to push people at it, right? So it's not about volume. You don't need to write like another book every month about how you made $1 million. You just need to write that one thing and then you're pushing traffic at it. And that's about the marketing. So it really depends on what your goals are and what your business model is when you're doing ebooks on Amazon. So you got to kind of know where you're going, basically. You got to understand and have an idea of what you want to do and where you're going, right? So I hope that answers your question there. Do you think the ebooks will always be around as a good source to make money? There's no guarantees. There are no guarantees, man. There's no guarantees. What I will say, number one, there's always risk in business. You're always taking risk. But one thing we can know is fact. Tablets, right? Tablets, iPads, Kindle Fires, e-readers. The tablets, people love their tablets right now, okay? And as long as people love their tablets, and people would much rather have like a giant library of 1,000 books on their tablet versus having a giant library of 1,000 books all over their house, there's going to be traction for the ebook. There's going to be traction for the ebook. I think the big problem with ebooks is they're very, very easy to pirate. Super easy to pirate, super easy to pirate. What helps platforms like Amazon and iTunes is that they're kind of closed ecosystems. They're closed ecosystems. The people are on their devices, and that's kind of like the only place that they can kind of shop for things like ebooks and stuff. So it's easy. They make it really easy for them to shop, and like boom, 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 they just buy it. They just get it there because it's there, right? But is that going to last? Are people going to become a lot more internet savvy and just realize that they can get most of these books just for free? I don't know. It's hard to say. It's really, really just hard to say. Honestly, there's still a lot of books out there you can't get for free. You can't, The really popular ones, a lot of times you can find them. You can just type in the name of the book and then type PDF after that in a search engine, and you can pull up a free copy of the book, like a PDF form. But a lot of books, still, man, you can't get them for free. They're still just there on that one platform or a paid platform, so they're still protected pretty good. Is it gonna last? Dude, I have no crystal ball. I have no idea. You have to base your information and the moves you make. You have to base it on what you know is happening right now, okay? What you foresee happening in the future, okay? And then you minimize your risk along the way, okay? Well, what can I do right now that could make me money that would work for me right now, right? Or what do I see happening within the next 2 years that's probably going to make me money within the next 2 years, and I'll invest in it now and it's going to make me money, right? And then you minimize your risk so that you don't, lose a ton of money, right? So that's kind of what you do. And when I mean minimize your risk, I mean, you control your investment. Like, let's say I see something that might make me money within the next 2 years, okay? Um, but it's not going to make me money right now, right? So what I want to do is, if I'm going to invest in that, I want to control the amount of money I invest in it. You know, money that I can afford to lose, right? If I lose it and it was a bad investment, then that's fine. I don't want to risk money that I can't afford to lose, right? I'll use some discretionary funding, and I'll invest in that project. And I won't invest in it unless I have some good information about it. Like, I know, because I looked at these numbers, that the amount of people buying e-readers and the amount of people reading eBooks is going to increase by like 5 times within the next 2 years. Okay, well, also I know that people are hot and heavy into romance novels, and that's not going anywhere. That's a tried and true method. Okay, and then maybe I'll take a couple other variables, right? And then I'll say, okay, I can see by the way things are going and the way things look that if I get in on this romance novel thing, I could probably do really, really well, and it'll grow in the next 2 years, okay? So what I'll do is, let me invest this much money a month into this little romance novel publishing business, right? And I'll just invest a little bit of money here and a little bit of money there, and I'll see growth over the next 2 years, right? And that's kind of the way you could look at it. I look at a lot of things like that. You got to, you know, when you're an entrepreneur and you don't get a paycheck from someone, you make your own money. Your mind creates the money, okay? So when you're in a situation like that, you have to be careful with your money. You have to be smart about it. And you know business is risky. You take risk in business, but you minimize your risk. You minimize your risk by paying attention to what's going on. That's the way it is. Okay, let's see. Do you think ebooks will always be around? Okay, also I was wondering, you talk about outsourcing book writing. I was thinking if people can make a good living from ebooks, why do you think all those writers don't just publish their own books? What do you think? Okay, so here's the deal, all right? If I pay someone to write a book for me about like model rockets, see, like he might be a good writer, but it takes more than being a good writer to sell a book, okay? That's like saying, well, this cat can fix my car. He should be able to design and create a brand new car. That's not true. That's not true. Just because he's good at fixing the car doesn't mean he could create and design a better, more efficient car. It doesn't. It's 2 different skill sets. So the guys that you're paying to write those books, they might have 0 ability to sell books. They might have 0 ability to market books. They don't have abilities to do those things. They're different abilities, you know. So, and I'm not taking away from being a good writer, okay? I'm not taking away from being a good writer. I have all the respect in the world for good writers and talented people with experience. I just paid a writer a lot of money. I'm not going to say how much. I'm not going to get into numbers, but a lot of money to write a great 10-part series on branding private label products on Amazon, and all the respect in the world for that person. But at the same time, there's a difference between being a good writer and being able to write a good book, and also being able to sell that book. You know, I'm a musician, man, and I know tons of guitar players and musicians that are just phenomenal at their craft. They are amazing at their craft. They're professional level musicians. And what do? They work construction jobs. You know, they work factory jobs, you know. They work at upholstery jobs, you know. And their talent's wasted. Why is their talent wasted? Because they know nothing of marketing. They know nothing of business, okay? That's not their skill set. So what I'll say to you, man, is why those people don't just write their own books, man. They have to learn a new skill to do that. They have to learn a new skill. They have to go beyond their comfort zone of being good writers and move into that zone of business and move into that zone of marketing to be able to do those things. And see, not everybody's willing to do that. Some people are like, hey, look, I'm a good writer. Let me get on here and write, and people will pay me to write, and I'll make money. Sweet. And it is sweet, but it's service work, you know? It's still doing the same thing that you're used to doing. I go and do work, and then I collect a paycheck. I go and do work, and I collect a paycheck. And you have to change your mindset to move into a different place, you know, because that's not how it is to be an entrepreneur. You don't go and do work and then collect a paycheck. Go and do work and collect a paycheck. It's different when you work for yourself. It's different when, you know, you're in business. So anyways, that's what's going on with that, man. I hope that makes sense. Also, the appeal of ebooks for me is nothing more than nothing more needs to be done. It's pretty much autopilot. Is there any other ways you consider as easy as the ebook method to make money? Look, with the ebooks, you know, let's say you put 100 ebooks up for sale on Amazon. Okay. Let's say, okay, I got a goal to put 100 ebooks up for sale on Amazon. You're putting work in the whole time because you're either outsourcing all those ebooks or you're writing them yourself, or you're doing something, you're paying other people to do stuff for you. You're making moves the whole time, so you're still working. Now let's say you got them all up there and now you're done. Okay, now what are you going to do? You're just going to sit there and let them make you money while you go, you know, water skiing all day or something? I don't know. So then what? You know, you're going to notice your money start to dwindle a little bit here and there as your ebooks start to fall off, okay? Because they're not going to all maintain great status. What's going to happen is some of them are going to fall off. And then you got two options. You're going to be like, okay, well, I need to start getting some more ebooks right? I need to start getting some more ebooks written. Right, so you're going to start getting some more ebooks. That's work, man. You're working. You're making moves now. You're hiring people to do things for you, and you're getting things together. You're doing research, trying to figure out what kind of books you want written. And then also, another thing is maybe you're going to try to revive some of those books. Well, if they're good books, why'd they fall off? Well, maybe this one fell off just because it was written in 2014, and as soon as we hit 2015, all of a sudden the sales in that ebook dropped. Now what? Maybe it's as simple as having another cover made up for it and changing a few words in there and making a 2015 edition. Just adding a little bit to it and changing the cover. Now all of a sudden your sales pick up on that ebook. But that was work. You had to think about it. You had to like problem solve it and get it done. So even if you got just 100 books up there making you money, you're still going to probably have to do some maintenance on them, right? And that's generally not how it works. Generally, what happens is you move on and try to scale it and put more books up there to make more money. So it's not completely set it and forget it, is it? It's not completely passive if you're trying to grow it. Now look, any business can be this way. Any business can be this way. You could run a membership site, okay, where you don't do anything. You hire a staff of writers to write all the articles for you. You hire a VA to manage all those writers. You hire a researcher to research new content that could be made for your site, relevant stuff that would work, right? You hire all these people, you hire this team of people to run this site. Maybe you hire another VA to oversee the whole process, and that's the only guy who reports to you, right? So basically, you got one guy reporting to you, and you got a whole team running this membership site. Now you made that pretty passive for yourself, right? Everything's under control. You got everything templated out. Everybody knows exactly what their job is and what they're supposed to do. You put out this much money in expense every month on, you know, paying people, and your site's making this much money, right? And it's great, and that's awesome, but you had to set the whole system up, right? It's a pretty passive system once you got it all in place and set it up. You want a real good example of someone who's doing something like that? Check out Stuart Walker. Go over to nichehacks.com, NICHEHACKS.com. The guy who runs that site's name's Stuart Walker. You know, he's got a team of writers who pretty much writes all his articles on the site. He's got a VA that runs it. He's got researchers that research topics. He's got a whole system set up to where he doesn't have to do a whole lot, but he still puts a ton of work into that site, you know? So, matter of fact, I just did an interview with Stuart Walker. He just interviewed for me. I interviewed him, I should say. And so he sent me one. I did an interview for him for his site. Then I sent him one. He did an interview for me, for my site, for adventuresontheriver.com. So we kind of flipped. But his interview was awesome. It's inside adventuresontheriver.com. If you want to see the interview, it's in there. But he just interviewed, and I asked him a lot of questions about how he assembled this team of people together. Because essentially what happens is, if you can put together a team like that, and you can do that with almost anything, almost any job that you create on the internet, you can hire a team of people to do it for you. What you're doing is you're able to step outside of your business and you're not an employee for yourself anymore, right? Because you could be working for yourself, but you're still not the boss. I mean, you're the boss, but you're still working, you're doing everything yourself. You're not thinking like a boss, you're thinking like a worker. You're just working for yourself. But if you can hire other people to do it for you, and you can get them to do a good job, then all of a sudden you're the boss now, and you can step outside of that business and you can move on to another project, right? And you can just scale this and scale it and scale it, right? And that's awesome, and that's really the key to a passive income. That's the key to true success, right? So anyways, that's my thoughts on it. That's my opinion. So when you ask me if there's anything else as passive as ebooks, I'll tell you, ebooks aren't really that passive if you're doing them right. You still got to put a little work into it, They're more passive than a lot of things, but you still got to put some work into it. True passivity is getting other people to do the work and training them to do a good job, and then they just report to you, and then you're really good to go. That's not a place I'm at yet. That's a place I'm working to get to, but I promise you that's where you want to go. That's the direction you want to head. And that's all Big DC Max questions. Dude, thanks for the awesome email. I appreciate it. Anybody else out there have questions for me, just email me at camjenningspro@gmail.com. I'll be happy to answer your questions. And I hope you guys are all doing awesome out there. God bless you. I'll see you in the next one. Peace, everybody.